One of the most important soundtracks for me and one of the most important games for me growing up and during my teenage years, aside from Command and Conquer, and I share this with Synther, is Diablo 2. The soundtrack by Matt Uelmen, that's my best guess at his last name, stuck with me, to say the least. It's haunting, and the moment that you hear it, you're immediately back in that place. You're wandering around outside Tristram, fighting monsters, slaying demons, and it puts me right back there with the rain falling and the damp, dead grass. It's so enchanting, and it's so good. He later went on to do the soundtrack for the Torchlight series, which was created by several of the key team members who worked on Diablo 2. Torchlight is a very similar game to Diablo. Torchlight 2 in particular is a masterful action RPG that if you like classic Diablo 2 or you like Diablo 3 and you're looking for something similar, Torchlight 2 would be the first place that you would stop. It's got the soundtrack by Matt Uelmen, who the soundtrack for Torchlight is also very iconic and very reminiscent of Diablo. Very soft string instruments and really great simple guitar parts over this sweeping atmospheric. I mean, honestly, the Torchlight soundtrack, the Diablo soundtrack, could have gone into any of the categories from last week, because it is so haunting and so amazing, and it just takes me back there every single time. That it's some of the best soundtracks that you can listen to in the video game industry, hands down.
So to me, the guitar, like the reverberated guitar, is so synonymous with Diablo. Like every time I hear that, I always think of like exactly what you said, like the damp grass, rotting trees, the like billion goblins that are like running around and getting resurrected as you pound the shit out of them with a club. You know, like I always think of that stuff. And I also find that the soundtrack, it's not in your face. It's a bit understated. Like it's kind of underneath the game. Like it's there.
Absolutely. It's not terribly overt. It remains sort of subdued and in the background, and it's Torchlight 2, it's the same thing. It's that haunting, subdued kind of, it's just pleasant to listen to. It enhances your experience because it is so closely tied to what you're experiencing without being intrusive or in your face or anything. And it really just grabs me. Like I said, it just takes me back to suddenly I'm 15 again, and I'm logging into Battle.net into the US West servers, or US East at the time or whatever, and I'm working on leveling my barbarian and wandering around Tristram and going to fight Baal and Mephisto, and it just takes me back, and it's so great, and can't say enough good things about it.
The Diablo 3 soundtrack is great too. I won't say it's as good as like Diablo 2. It's not as iconic or as like the Torchlight series, but Diablo 3 had that. Some of the music was kind of blanketed in the background, but there was a lot of it that was like in your face, very orchestrated, epic feel to it, and it's a huge tonal shift because Diablo 2 is very like dark. You know, it's like it's kind of satanic and it has all this stuff. And Diablo 3 was a bit more colorful, which was fine. Like there was two tonal differences there, and I think the music reflected that like coming out of that darkness. It was more like epic. It was a battle, because it was basically heaven and hell are going at it now, whereas before it was just a bunch of ragtag adventurers trying to take down Diablo. You know, so I think it progressed the way it should have. But I think the soundtracks are great. And like I said, the guitar with the reverb on it, it's very that series. You won't hear that anywhere else.